Have you ever noticed how the things you chase most desperately seem to slip through your fingers like sand? Yet when you least expect it, when you've stopped searching so frantically, what you need suddenly appears. There's a profound truth here that might change everything for you. When you need nothing, you attract everything. I know what you're thinking. That can't possibly work. How can I receive what I want if I'm not actively pursuing it? How can abundance find me if I'm not searching for it? It sounds impossible, doesn't it? A contradiction that defies logic. But what if I told you this paradox contains one of life's most transformative secrets? A wisdom that sages, mystics, and philosophers across cultures and throughout history have discovered independently. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine a perfectly still mountain lake at dawn. Notice how its unruffled surface creates a flawless mirror of the sky above. This perfect reflection only exists because of the water's stillness. This is what your mind can become, a clear reflection of life's possibilities when you release the turbulence of constant wanting. I'm inviting you on a journey today. Not just through ideas and concepts, but through your own experience. Together, we'll explore how letting go of attachment creates the very space needed for abundance to flow into your life naturally and effortlessly. As the ancient Taoist sage Lao Tzu wrote, "If you want to become full, let yourself be empty. If you want to be given everything, give everything up." These aren't just beautiful words, they're an invitation to a completely different way of living. Take a deep breath now. Feel your shoulders relax. Let's discover together the power that awakens when you release your grip on life and allow life to reveal itself to you instead. I want to share a story with you, one that might feel familiar in ways you didn't expect. Picture yourself as a traveler, crossing a vast, unforgiving desert. The sun beats down mercilessly, each ray seeming to sap another drop of moisture from your body. Your lips are cracked, your throat parched. Every step feels heavier than the last. What do you want more than anything in this moment? Water, shade, relief. You scan the horizon, squinting against the brightness, and there it is, or at least you think it's there, an oasis shimmering in the distance. Trees swaying slightly, the promise of cool water. Just a little further, you tell yourself, pushing your exhausted body forward. Just beyond that next dune. I need to reach it, I have to reach it. But with each painful step, the oasis seems to recede. The more desperately you chase it, the more it eludes you. Your focus narrows until that mirage becomes your entire world. Yet, it remains forever out of reach. Does this remind you of anything in your life right now? That promotion you've been chasing, the relationship you've been trying to force, the happiness you believe is waiting just around the next corner? We all have our mirages, things we believe we need to be complete, to be worthy, to be fulfilled. But what if I asked you to do something that seems completely counterintuitive? What if, instead of continuing your desperate pursuit, you simply stopped? Imagine our desert traveler finally collapsing in exhaustion, no longer able to chase the ever-receding oasis. In surrender, they sit in the shade of a small dune, closing their eyes, letting go of the frantic search. And in that moment of surrender, something remarkable happens. Their awareness expands beyond their thirst. They notice the cooling touch of the desert breeze against their skin, the profound silence that had been drowned out by their labored breathing and pounding heartbeat. And then, the subtle sound of trickling water. Opening their eyes, they discover what had been impossible to see while racing forward. A small spring bubbling up from the sand just steps away from where they sit. It had been there all along, hidden in plain sight, while they were fixated on the distant mirage. This is what happens when we release our death grip on what we think we need. The universe often has something better waiting for us, something we couldn't perceive while trapped in the tunnel vision of our desires. As the Sufi poet Rumi wrote, "When I run after what I think I want, my days are a furnace of distress and anxiety, If I sit in my own place of patience, what I need flows to me and without any pain. I've experienced this truth personally. The job I desperately wanted and didn't get led me to discover work that brings me profound fulfillment. The relationship I tried to force taught me what true connection actually requires. My biggest disappointments have often revealed themselves as disguised doorways to something far better than what I was chasing. What are you chasing right now? What oasis seems to constantly recede before you? I invite you to consider what might happen if you simply stopped running for a moment and allowed yourself to be exactly where you are. Let's get something straight. Surrender is not giving up. It's not passive resignation or admitting defeat. True surrender is an act of profound courage. It's releasing your white-knuckled grip on how you think things should be and opening yourself to how things could be. Think about the times you've struggled against life's current. Maybe you pushed a relationship that wasn't working, forced yourself toward a goal that wasn't truly yours, or refused to accept a reality you couldn't change. How did that feel in your body? The tension, the resistance, the exhaustion of swimming upstream. Now recall a time when you finally let go, when you stopped fighting what was and simply allowed. Remember the rush of relief, the sudden influx of energy, the clarity that washed over you. That's the power of surrender. This wisdom appears across spiritual traditions because it reflects a universal truth about human nature. In Buddhism, attachment is identified as the root of suffering. When we cling to specific outcomes or identities, we create our own pain. But in releasing attachment, we discover a freedom that's been available all along. Consider this. When your hands are tightly clenched around what you already have or what you desperately want, how can they possibly receive anything new? It's only in opening your palms that you create space for life to place unexpected gifts within them. I remember when I was fixated on a very specific vision for my career. I had the whole path mapped out, each promotion, each milestone, each achievement that I was convinced would lead to fulfillment. I pushed and strived and exhausted myself, pursuing this vision. Then circumstances forced me to let go. What seemed like failure at the time created space for opportunities I couldn't have imagined. Opportunities that aligned far better with my authentic gifts and brought me joy I hadn't known was possible. The Taoist concept of Wu Wei, effortless action, captures this perfectly. It's not about doing nothing. It's about allowing the right action to emerge naturally when you align with life's flow rather than constantly fighting against it. As Lao Tzu writes, if you want to become full, let yourself be empty. If you want to be given everything, give everything up. This emptiness isn't lack. It's unlimited potential. It's the space where creativity flourishes, where solutions emerge, where synchronicities unfold. What are you holding on to so tightly that your grip is cutting off circulation to new possibilities? What beliefs, identities, or expectations could you loosen your hold on today? Remember, the universe abhors a vacuum. When you create space by releasing what no longer serves you, that space will be filled, often with something far better than what you were clutching so desperately. We've been taught to fear emptiness, to avoid silence, to fill every moment with activity, achievement, acquisition. But what if the empty spaces are where the magic happens? The void isn't something to fear. It's the womb of creation itself. It's where possibilities exist in their purest potential before taking form. Think about it. Music isn't just notes, it's the spaces between notes. A beautiful room isn't just furniture, it's the thoughtful arrangement of space. Your life isn't just activities and achievements, it's the breathing room between them that gives everything meaning. Ancient wisdom traditions recognize this truth. In Taoism, the void, Wu, is seen not as nothingness but as the source of all being. Lao Tzu describes it as the eternal void, filled with infinite possibilities. This void isn't empty in the way we typically understand emptiness. It's pregnant with potential, teeming with creative force. I've experienced this in my own creative practice. When I'm feeling blocked or depleted, forcing the work only makes it worse. But when I step away, when I create space and silence, when I allow myself to rest in the apparent emptiness, that's precisely when inspiration strikes. The solution arrives not from pushing harder, but from making space for it to emerge. Rumi captured this paradox beautifully. Don't grieve. Anything you lose comes round in another form. What you release creates space for new possibilities. What you surrender transforms into something new. The void is where this alchemy happens. This applies to every aspect of your life. When you clear clutter from your home, you create space for peace and clarity. When you release toxic relationships, you make room for nourishing connections. When you let go of outdated beliefs, you open yourself to deeper wisdom. The Buddhist concept of shunyata, emptiness, points to this same truth, that emptiness isn't a barren desert, but a field of infinite potential. By recognizing that nothing possesses fixed, unchanging essence, we free ourselves to experience the world as it truly is, fluid, dynamic, and constantly renewing itself. I invite you to embrace the void in your own life. Where might you benefit from creating space? What areas feel cluttered physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually? What would happen if you stopped trying to fill every moment and instead allowed yourself to rest in the creative potential of emptiness? Remember, nature itself teaches us this wisdom. The seed must break open and surrender its form to grow into something greater. The caterpillar must enter the void of the chrysalis to emerge transformed. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is nothing at all, creating space for something new to emerge on its own. There's a fundamental misunderstanding in our culture. We believe that forcing, striving, and struggling are the only paths to achievement. We glorify the hustle, the grind, the relentless push, but what if there's another way? The Taoist concept of Wu Wei, often translated as non-action or effortless action, offers us a radical alternative. It's not about doing nothing. It's about allowing action to arise naturally from alignment rather than force. Think of a skilled musician who no longer has to think about where to place their fingers. The music simply flows through them. Or an athlete in the zone, performing at their peak without conscious calculation. That's Wu Wei. It's action that emerges spontaneously when you're in harmony with the natural flow of life. I've experienced this myself when I stopped pushing so hard against deadlines and instead found my natural rhythm of productivity. The work not only became more enjoyable, it became better. Solutions appeared effortlessly when I stopped forcing them. Creativity flowed when I released my death grip on outcomes. Lao Tzu describes this paradox beautifully. The Tao does nothing, yet nothing is left undone. When we align with life's natural current, we accomplish more by doing less. We become instruments through which life expresses itself, rather than exhausted swimmers fighting against the tide. Rumi offers similar wisdom. Don't move the way fear makes you move. Move the way love makes you move. Fear drives us to force, control, and manipulate. Love, which includes self-compassion, allows us to trust, flow, and respond organically to what each moment requires. This doesn't mean challenges won't arise, but it does mean we can meet those challenges differently, not with the tension of resistance, but with the supple strength of alignment, like a reed that bends with the wind rather than breaking against it. When we trust life's flow, when we move from love rather than fear, we discover a way of being that's simultaneously more effective and more peaceful. Doors open that forcing couldn't budge. Opportunities appear that striving couldn't reach. Solutions emerge that effort alone couldn't discover. Where in your life are you pushing too hard? Where are you swimming upstream against the current? What might happen if you relaxed into the flow instead? I challenge you to experiment with this approach in one area of your life today. Notice what happens when you release your grip on how things should unfold and instead allow them to develop. Naturally, you might be surprised by how much more gets accomplished when you stop trying so desperately to make things happen. Now, I'd like to guide you through a simple practice to integrate these insights into your daily life. Find a comfortable position, and if it feels right, gently close your eyes. Take 3 deep breaths, feeling your body relax with each exhale. First, ask yourself, what am I holding on to right now that I could release? Notice what arises without judgment. Maybe it's an expectation about how your life should look, a relationship you're trying to control, a goal you're pursuing for the wrong reasons, a grudge that's become heavier than you realized. Whatever appears, simply acknowledge it with compassion. These attachments are natural, they're part of being human. Now imagine gently opening your hands and releasing this attachment. Visualize it floating away like a leaf on a stream. Feel the immediate sense of spaciousness this creates within you, the lightness, the freedom. Take another deep breath into this newly created space. Next, ask yourself, with this space now available, what am I ready to receive? Don't force an answer. Simply allow images, feelings, or insights to arise naturally. Trust what emerges. It might be something completely unexpected, something far better than what you were chasing. Feel yourself opening to receive these gifts. Notice how different this feels from the grasping energy of pursuit. There's ease here, grace, a natural flow. Finally, ask yourself, how can I move forward with more trust in life's unfolding? Perhaps there's a specific situation where you can practice more surrender, a relationship where you can release control, a goal you can pursue with more flexibility about how it manifests. Commit to one small action that embodies this trust. It might be as simple as pausing before reacting when things don't go as planned, or taking a day off from pursuing a particular outcome. Take one more deep breath, feeling a profound sense of trust wash over you. You are exactly where you need to be right now. You have everything you need in this moment. The universe is conspiring in your favor, even when it doesn't feel that way. When you're ready, gently open your eyes. Carrying this awareness with you, we've come full circle in our exploration of this profound paradox. When you need nothing, you attract everything. This isn't magical thinking. It's a practical approach to living that aligns you with the natural flow of life. When you release the exhausting cycle of wanting, chasing, and grasping, you create space for abundance to find you. I've seen this truth transform lives, including my own. The moments of greatest fulfillment rarely come from getting exactly what we thought we wanted. They come from surrendering our rigid expectations and opening ourselves to something better than we could have imagined. This isn't about abandoning goals or ambitions. It's about pursuing them differently, with an open hand rather than a clenched fist, with trust rather than desperation, with presence rather than constant projection into. Today, I challenge you to experiment with this paradox in your own life. Where can you practice the art of surrender? Where might letting go create space for something better to emerge? Remember the desert traveler who found the spring only when they stopped chasing the mirage. Remember that the void isn't emptiness, but infinite potential. Remember that effortless action accomplishes more than relentless striving ever could. You are already complete. You already have within you everything you need. And when you truly understand that, when you embody that truth, life's abundance can't help but flow toward you. Need nothing. attract everything. What will you release today?
My friends, I must begin with a truth so startling that it will disturb your very foundations. At this precise moment, as you listen to these words, you are either creating vast wealth or perpetuating devastating poverty. There exists no middle ground, no neutral territory in the realm of consciousness. Every single thought cascading through your mind, every emotion pulsing through your being, every belief you harbor about abundance, all of these are either constructing a fortune beyond your wildest dreams or cementing the chains of financial bondage. And here's what will astound you. 99% of humanity is unconsciously choosing destitution while believing they desire prosperity. They are their own worst enemy, and they don't even know it. The world has deceived you, my friend. It has taught you to bow before the altar of money, to chase it like a beggar chases scraps, to sacrifice your very soul upon the altar of materialism. But this worship of money is precisely what keeps it from you. The moment you chase anything, you declare yourself separate from it. The instant you long for wealth, you affirm your identity as one who lacks it. Listen with your entire being. You do not magnetize what you desire. You magnetize what you embody. You become a living magnet for experiences that match your dominant state of consciousness. If you are conscious of being someone who struggles financially, someone who must work themselves to exhaustion for every dollar, someone who lives in fear of not having enough, then that is precisely the reality you will continue to manifest. But what if I revealed to you the most closely guarded secret of every millionaire who has ever lived? What if I told you that their thoughts about money are diametrically opposed to everything you've been conditioned to believe? The prosperous individual does not think, "I wish I were wealthy." Never. The prosperous individual thinks, "I am wealthy." He doesn't hope for abundance. He assumes it as naturally as he assumes his own existence. He doesn't labor toward wealth. He labors from wealth. He doesn't see himself as becoming rich. He sees himself as expressing the richness that is already his divine nature. This is not mere positive thinking, my friend. This is not wishful fantasy or empty dreaming. This is the fundamental law governing all of existence. You become what you assume yourself to be, and you remain what you assume yourself to be. In the sacred texts, we find this profound truth. To him who has more will be given, and he will have abundance. But from him who has not, even what he has will be taken away. Many read this and see injustice, but I tell you it is the most precise description of the law of consciousness ever written. Those who possess the consciousness of wealth inevitably receive more wealth. Those who possess the consciousness of lack inevitably receive more lack. The wealthy become wealthier, not because they possess paper money, but because they possess the mental equivalent of wealth. They think from abundance, feel from security, and act from the unshakable knowledge of their own prosperity. Look around you at this very moment. Observe your bank account, your dwelling, your possessions, your entire financial situation. Everything you see is the faithful, exact reproduction of your habitual mental states. Your outer world is your inner world made visible. Your circumstances are not happening to you. They are happening through you. If you are displeased with what you observe, resist the temptation to blame external forces. The economy is not your problem. Your background is not your problem. Your education is not your problem. Your current job is not your problem. They are merely the effects of your consciousness, and effects can never change their cause. The question that will transform your life is not how can I acquire more money. The question is how can I become the type of person who naturally possesses wealth. Allow me to paint for you a detailed portrait of how a truly wealthy person thinks and feels throughout their day. When they awaken each morning, they don't anxiously check their bank balance. They know it's there, growing, multiplying. When they encounter something they desire, they don't calculate whether they can afford it. They simply decide whether they want it. When they meet others, they don't feel compelled to prove their worth through displays of wealth. They carry themselves with the quiet, unshakable confidence of someone who knows their value. When they give from overflow, not from sacrifice. When they invest from abundance, not from desperation. This is not arrogance, my friend. This is assumption. And assumption, though it may appear false to the senses, when persisted in with unwavering faith, will crystallize into undeniable fact. But here lies the secret that escapes most seekers. It is not sufficient to merely declare I am wealthy. You must cultivate the inner sensation, the feeling, the emotional reality of having infinite abundance. You must generate the actual experience of financial security so consistently that it becomes your natural state of being. Close your eyes for a moment. How would it feel to never worry about money again? How would it feel to know that you could purchase anything your heart desires? How would it feel to be so financially abundant that your greatest joy comes from blessing others? That feeling, that inner experience, that is your true treasure. It is more valuable than any external possession because it is the source from which all external possessions flow. When you begin to consciously assume the state of wealth, the world will test your resolve. Your senses will present you with the same bank statements. Your bills will continue to arrive. People will treat you as they always have. Your circumstances may even seem to worsen temporarily. This is the crucial test. Will you remain faithful to your assumption of wealth, or will you allow the testimony of your senses to convince you that the law doesn't work? Remember, the seed planted in the ground appears to die before it springs forth as new life. Your assumption of wealth is that seed. Trust its invisible growth, even when you cannot yet see its fruit. Tonight, before you surrender to sleep, I want you to construct a scene in your imagination that implies your wealth is already a reality. Perhaps you see yourself signing a check for $1 million to your favorite charity. Perhaps you imagine walking through the rooms of your dream home, running your hands along the furniture you've lovingly selected. Perhaps you visualize the look of joy on your loved ones' faces as you surprise them with generous gifts. Make this scene vivid in every detail. Engage all your senses. Feel the pen in your hand as you sign that check. Smell the fragrance of flowers in your dream home. Hear the laughter of those you've blessed with your generosity. And as you fall asleep in that scene, you are impressing upon your subconscious mind the reality of your wealth. But don't confine this practice to your sleep time. Carry the feeling of wealth into every moment of your waking hours. When you pay bills, pay them with the attitude of someone who has unlimited resources. When you see expensive items, don't think I can't afford that. Think I choose not to purchase that at this moment. When you walk with the bearing of someone who owns vast wealth. When you speak with the confidence of someone who has never known financial insecurity. When you give with the generosity of someone who has so much that sharing is pure joy. You are not pretending to be wealthy. You are being wealthy in consciousness. And consciousness is the only reality that matters. What I'm sharing with you is not mystical nonsense. It is the most practical science ever discovered. Every great fortune in history began as an imagined reality in someone's mind. Every business empire was first constructed in the imagination of its founder. Every financial breakthrough was first experienced in consciousness before it appeared in the world. The Wright brothers soared through the skies in their imagination long before they ever left the ground. Thomas Edison illuminated the world in his mind before the first light bulb was invented. Henry Ford saw millions of automobiles on the roads before the first Model T was manufactured. They succeeded because they lived mentally in the reality of their fulfilled desires. They thought from their success, not toward it. What is your wealth story? Not your current circumstances, but your intended reality. In your ideal life, what is your net worth? How do you spend your days? What does your lifestyle look like? How do you feel when you contemplate your financial situation? Create this story with such vivid detail that it becomes more real to you than your present conditions. Describe your daily routine as a wealthy person. Visualize your homes, your investments, your philanthropic activities. Feel the emotions of someone who has achieved financial mastery. This is not fantasy, my friend. This is creation. You are literally architecting your future with the power of your imagination. Some of you are thinking, but I've tried visualization before. I've tried affirmations. Nothing changed. Let me ask you this. Did you persist? Did you maintain the feeling of wealth for weeks, months, even years if necessary? Or did you experiment for a few days and then revert to your old patterns of lack consciousness? The law of consciousness is exact and impartial. It will manifest precisely what you are, not what you wish to be. If you are someone who tries techniques but secretly doubts their effectiveness, you will receive evidence of their failure. But if you are someone who knows the law and applies it with unwavering faith, you will witness its miraculous power. As you persist in assuming wealth, you will notice subtle but profound changes in your inner world. You will stop frantically seeking wealth outside yourself because you will feel it within yourself. You will stop envying the prosperity of others because you will know your own infinite worth. You will stop fearing financial loss because you will live from the consciousness of abundance. And then, as naturally as flowers bloom in spring, opportunities will begin to appear. The right people will come into your life. Doors will open that you never knew existed. Money will flow to you through channels you never imagined, not because you forced it, but because you became a magnet for it. But I must warn you of the traps that have destroyed many sincere seekers. First, do not look for immediate evidence of your wealth. The law operates according to its own perfect timing, not your impatience. Second, do not share your assumption with skeptics or those who live from lack consciousness. Sacred things must be kept sacred. Third, do not try to figure out how your wealth will manifest. Your job is to assume it is manifesting, not to engineer the process. The law knows exactly how to fulfill your assumption. Trust it completely. When you truly embody wealth consciousness, your entire relationship with money undergoes a radical transformation. You stop seeing money as scarce and start recognizing it as infinitely abundant. You stop hoarding money and start circulating it freely. You stop fearing its loss and start expecting its multiplication. The wealthy understand that money is simply crystallized consciousness, and consciousness is infinite. They know that losing money is impossible when you possess the consciousness that created it in the first place. Here's a beautiful paradox that only the truly wealthy understand. When you genuinely embody wealth consciousness, you realize that the feeling of abundance is infinitely more valuable than any material possession. You could lose every dollar and still be wealthy because wealth has become your state of being, not your bank balance. This is true security. This is lasting prosperity. This is the secret of secrets. Make this practice your daily sacrament. Each morning before your feet touch the floor, spend 10 minutes immersed in the feeling of wealth. Feel the security that comes from knowing you have more than enough. Feel the freedom that comes from unlimited resources. Feel the joy that comes from being able to bless others generously. Each evening, before sleep takes you, return to your scene of wealth fulfilled. Live in it completely. Make it so real that it becomes your preferred reality. Let sleep seal it into your subconscious mind, where it will work continuously to manifest your assumption. Just as money compounds in investment accounts, your wealth consciousness compounds in your mind. Each day you practice, each moment you maintain the feeling of prosperity. You are building unstoppable momentum. The wealthy person you are becoming grows stronger, while the poverty-conscious person you once were fades into irrelevance. Time becomes your ally when you use it to consistently assume wealth. When doubt arises, and it will arise, don't battle it. Simply return to your assumption of wealth. Doubt is merely old programming attempting to reassert itself. You are installing new software in your consciousness, and sometimes the old system resists the upgrade. Be gentle with yourself, but absolutely persistent in your practice. Every time you choose the assumption of wealth over the appearance of lack, you strengthen your new identity. You will know this teaching is working when you stop looking for evidence that it's working. You will know you've achieved true wealth consciousness when thinking about money brings you peace instead of anxiety, excitement instead of fear, gratitude instead of desperation. Your bank account will be the last thing to change, but it will change. The inner transformation always precedes the outer manifestation. From this moment forward, see yourself as a wealthy person having a temporary experience of financial limitation, not as a poor person hoping to become wealthy. This shift in identity changes everything. You are not becoming wealthy. You are wealthy, and you're simply allowing that truth to express itself in your physical world. Walk like wealth. talk like wealth, think like wealth, feel like wealth, and wealth must manifest because you have become its perfect expression. Here's how you'll know you've truly embodied wealth consciousness. You'll become naturally generous, not because you're trying to manipulate the universe into giving you more, but because abundance has become your nature. When you know you have unlimited supply, giving becomes pure joy rather than sacrifice. Watch for this sign. When you find yourself wanting to give more, you'll know your consciousness is shifting. The truly wealthy live in what I call the Sabbath of consciousness, a place of rest and knowing. They don't strive and struggle for money. They don't work from desperation. They assume abundance and allow it to flow. They work from inspiration, not perspiration. This is the peace that surpasses all understanding. This is the rest that comes from knowing your security is guaranteed by the law of consciousness itself. You were never meant to experience poverty. Financial struggle is not your destiny. Lack is not spiritual. You are the operant power in your world, and it is your divine right to experience abundance in all its magnificent forms. The only thing standing between you and millions of dollars is your assumption about yourself. Change your assumption, and you literally change your world. Right now, in this precious moment, you stand at the crossroads of destiny. You can continue thinking as you've always thought and continue getting what you've always gotten. Or you can make the decision that will change everything. The decision to assume you are already wealthy and to persist in that assumption until it becomes your living reality. This is your million-dollar decision. This is your moment of power. This is your opportunity to step into the wealthy version of yourself that has always existed in potential. Let me share with you the most powerful technique I know for embodying wealth consciousness. Before you sleep tonight, imagine you are lying in bed in your dream home. Feel the luxury of your surroundings. Perhaps you're in a master bedroom with a view of the ocean, or in a penthouse overlooking the city lights. As you lie there, reflect on your day as a wealthy person. Perhaps you signed a major business deal, or made a generous donation to charity, or surprised a loved one with an expensive gift. Feel the satisfaction of living from abundance. Feel the joy of having unlimited resources. Make this so real that you fall asleep as a wealthy person. Your subconscious mind doesn't distinguish between imagined and actual experiences. To your subconscious, you are wealthy, and it will work tirelessly to make that assumption your reality. Everything in the universe vibrates at a specific frequency, including states of consciousness. Poverty has its frequency, and wealth has its frequency. When you consistently assume wealth, you tune yourself to the frequency of abundance. You become a living radio station broadcasting prosperity. And the universe, which is nothing but consciousness responding to consciousness, must tune into your frequency and reflect it back to you as your experience. Transform your mornings with this wealth-building routine. Upon waking, before you check your phone or think about your problems, spend the first 10 minutes of your day in the consciousness of wealth. Feel grateful for your abundant resources. Imagine checking your investment accounts and seeing impressive returns. Visualize your day unfolding with ease and prosperity. Set the tone for your entire day by beginning it as a wealthy person. Your morning consciousness determines your daily experience. Many of you have been under what I call the poverty spell, a hypnotic trance induced by society, family, and your own repetitive thoughts of lack. This spell makes you believe that struggle is noble, that suffering is necessary, that wealth is for other people, but not for you. I am here to break that spell. You are not condemned to financial struggle. You are not destined for mediocrity. You are not limited by your current circumstances. You are the author of your financial story, and you can rewrite it starting now. Adopt the perspective of someone who has already achieved great wealth. How does such a person view challenges? As opportunities? How do they view setbacks? As temporary inconveniences? How do they view other people? As potential partners and allies, not competitors. When you think like a wealthy person, you act like a wealthy person. When you act like a wealthy person, you become a wealthy person. It's that simple and that profound. The best investment you can make is not in stocks, bonds, or real estate. The best investment you can make is in your own consciousness. Every moment you spend assuming wealth is a deposit in the bank of your future prosperity. Every time you choose abundance over lack, you're compounding your wealth consciousness. This investment pays dividends that no external investment can match. Tonight, I want you to engage in the most powerful wealth visualization of your life. Imagine you're walking into a bank to make a deposit. But this isn't just any deposit. You're depositing a check for $10 million. Feel the weight of the check in your hand. See the numbers written clearly. Experience the bank teller's amazement and respect. As you hand over the check, feel the satisfaction of someone who has achieved extraordinary financial success. Feel the security of knowing that this is just one of many large deposits you'll make. Walk out of that bank with the confidence of a multi-millionaire. This isn't daydreaming. This is rehearsing for your future reality. Forget generic affirmations like "I am rich." Instead, craft specific, feeling-based affirmations that resonate with your soul. I am so grateful for my financial abundance that I can barely contain my joy. Money flows to me easily and abundantly from multiple sources. I am a magnet for wealth and prosperity in all its forms. Say these affirmations with conviction, with feeling, with the certainty of someone who knows they're already true. Notice how your mindset shifts as you embody wealth consciousness. You stop asking, "Can I afford it?" and start asking, "Do I want it?" You stop thinking about money as something you need and start thinking about it as something you have. You stop seeing wealthy people as different from you and start recognizing them as your peers. These subtle shifts in thinking create massive shifts in your external reality. True wealth consciousness creates what I call abundance overflow. When you truly feel wealthy, you naturally want to share your abundance with others. You tip generously. You donate to causes you believe in. You surprise loved ones with gifts. You invest in experiences that create joy. This overflow is not about trying to get more money through giving. It's the natural expression of someone who knows they have more than enough. Practice this wealth meditation daily. Sit comfortably and imagine golden light surrounding your body. This light represents infinite abundance. Feel it penetrating every cell, every atom of your being. You are literally made of abundance. You are abundance in human form. As you breathe in, you're breathing in prosperity. As you breathe out, you're exhaling any beliefs about lack or limitation. You are becoming a perfect conduit for wealth to flow through you and to you. Interestingly, wealthy people have different problems than poor people. Instead of wondering how to pay bills, they wonder which investment opportunities to pursue. Instead of worrying about having enough money, they worry about having too much sitting idle. Instead of seeking financial security, they seek ways to create more value in the world. Start having wealthy people's problems. Start worrying about having too much money rather than too little. This shift in the nature of your concerns signals a shift in your consciousness. People often ask me, "How long will it take for my wealth to manifest?" The answer is, it manifests the moment you assume it. The delay you experience is not in the manifestation, but in your acceptance of it as real. The moment you truly feel wealthy, you are wealthy. The external world then rearranges itself to match your inner conviction. Stop asking when it will happen. It's happening now. You're wealthy now. Accept it now. When you embody true wealth consciousness, you don't just change your own life. You change the lives of everyone around you. Your children learn that abundance is natural. Your spouse experiences the security of living with someone who knows their worth. Your friends are inspired by your transformation. You become a beacon of possibility, showing others what's achievable when you align with the law of consciousness. Now that you understand how to become wealthy in imagination, how to live in the end, and assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, I must share with you the most crucial element that will accelerate your manifestation beyond anything you've ever experienced. You see, my friends, imagination without gratitude is like a seed without water. It contains all the potential for growth, but it lacks the nourishing element that brings it to full bloom in your physical experience. Many of my students come to me and say, "Neville, I've been imagining my wealth. I've been living in the end, but nothing seems to be happening." And when I examine their practice, I discover they're missing the sacred ingredient that transforms imagination from mere fantasy into living reality. That ingredient is gratitude. Not gratitude as an afterthought, not gratitude as a polite thank you to the universe, but gratitude as the very breath of creation itself. Here's what will shake you to your core. The moment you truly feel grateful for the wealth you've been imagining, you bridge the gap between the invisible and the visible, between the imagined and the manifest. Gratitude is not the result of wealth. Gratitude is the cause of wealth. Let me tell you about a man who came to me in 1965, completely broke, living in a single room with his wife and 2 children. He had $17 to his name and rent due in 3 days. He had been practicing the techniques I taught about imagination, but his results were slow and inconsistent. Then I introduced him to what I'm about to share with you now, the sacred art of gratitude as the accelerator of manifestation. Within 6 months, he owned 3 properties and had established a thriving business. By year's end, he was worth more than he had ever imagined possible. What changed? He learned to feel grateful for his imagined wealth as if it were already his reality. And consciousness is the only reality. Now, before we dive deep into the practical application, you must understand something fundamental about the nature of gratitude. Gratitude is not merely an emotion. It is a creative force. It is the very breath of God within you, acknowledging what already exists in the invisible realm of infinite possibilities. When you feel grateful for something, you are not hoping for it. You are not wishing for it. You are recognizing its reality. And recognition is the first step in manifestation. The Bible tells us, before they call, I will answer, and while they are yet speaking, I will hear. This means that your desire already exists in the realm of fulfillment. Your job is not to create wealth. Your job is to recognize wealth that already is. Here's something that I need you to understand. Money is not a thing. Money is a symbol. It is a symbol of your consciousness of abundance. When you understand this, you realize that you don't need to chase money. You need to embody the consciousness from which money flows naturally. Think of it this way. A tree doesn't struggle to produce fruit. The fruit is the natural expression of the tree's nature. Similarly, wealth is the natural expression of a consciousness that recognizes its inherent abundance. And how do you develop this consciousness? Through the sacred practice of gratitude. Not gratitude as a technique, but gratitude as a way of being. But here's where most people stumble. They try to feel grateful for money while simultaneously worrying about bills. They try to imagine wealth while their inner dialogue screams of lack. This is like trying to plant a garden while simultaneously pouring salt on the soil. The transformation begins when you understand that gratitude is not about the external world. It's about your internal world. It's about recognizing that within you lies the infinite source from which all wealth springs. Now let me give you the practical steps to implement this sacred art in your daily life. Every morning, before your feet touch the floor, before the world intrudes upon your consciousness, spend 5 minutes in what I call gratitude awakening. Close your eyes and feel, don't think, feel grateful for the money that is flowing to you. Not money that might come, not money you hope will come, but money that is coming. Feel the relief, the joy, the security of knowing that your financial needs are met. Say to yourself, I am so grateful for the abundant flow of money in my life. I am so grateful for the multiple streams of income that sustain and enrich me. I am so grateful for the financial security that allows me to live with dignity and contribute to others. Feel these words. Let them penetrate your being until they become more real than the circumstances you see with your physical eyes. Remember, assumption is the mother of all miracles. When you assume something is true and persist in that assumption, the entire universe conspires to make it so. Your assumption of gratitude for wealth not yet seen is the invisible foundation upon which your visible wealth will be built. I've seen this principle work thousands of times. A woman assumes she is financially secure and feels grateful for that security. Within weeks, opportunities begin to appear. An unexpected inheritance, a promotion, a business opportunity. The forms are endless, but the principle is always the same. At midday, when the sun is at its highest and your energy is strong, practice what I call wealth recognition. Look around you and recognize wealth everywhere. The building you're in, someone's wealth created it. The car you drive, wealth made it possible. The food you eat, wealth brought it to your table. But go deeper. Recognize that the same creative force that produced all this wealth is operating in you right now. Feel grateful not just for what you can see, but for the invisible wealth that is even now taking form in your experience. The evening practice is perhaps the most powerful of all. As you prepare for sleep, when your conscious mind begins to quiet and your subconscious mind becomes more receptive, this is when you plant the deepest seeds of wealth consciousness. Lie in your bed and enter into what I call gratitude communion. Review your day, not as it was, but as it could have been if you were already wealthy. Imagine paying bills with joy instead of stress. Imagine making purchases without hesitation. Imagine the feeling of security that comes from knowing you have more than enough. But here's the crucial point. Don't imagine these things as future events. Experience them as present realities. Feel grateful for them as if they have already happened. Now I must warn you, when you begin this practice, you will encounter resistance. Your rational mind will protest. It will say, "This is foolish. How can I be grateful for money I don't have?" When this happens, remember this. Your rational mind is not your creative mind. Your rational mind can only rearrange existing conditions. Your creative mind, your imagination can create entirely new conditions. The resistance you feel is simply the old patterns of consciousness defending themselves. Push through, persist. The breakthrough always comes to those who persist in your experience. Once a week, conduct what I call a wealth ceremony. Choose a day when you won't be interrupted. Sit quietly and imagine yourself 1 year from now living in complete financial abundance. See yourself writing checks without concern for your bank balance. See yourself helping others financially. See yourself living in the home you desire, driving the car you want, taking the vacations you dream of. But don't just see these things, feel grateful for them. Let your heart overflow with thanksgiving for the abundance that is yours. Here's a powerful technique that has produced remarkable results for many of my students. Write gratitude letters to the universe, to God, to your higher self, whatever feels right to you. Write as if you are already wealthy, expressing gratitude for your abundance. Dear universe, I am so grateful for the $50,000 that came to me this month. I am so grateful for the business opportunity that doubled my income. I am so grateful for the investment that paid such wonderful returns. Write these letters with the same feeling you would have if you were actually wealthy. Then either burn them as an offering to the infinite, or keep them as reminders of your assumption. But now I want to share with you the deeper mystery. Gratitude is not just a technique for attracting wealth. Gratitude is the recognition of your true nature. You are not a physical being trying to become spiritual. You are a spiritual being, temporarily housed in a physical form. As a spiritual being, you are connected to the infinite source of all good. Wealth is not something you acquire. It's something you recognize as your natural inheritance. When you feel grateful for wealth, you are not asking for something outside yourself. You are acknowledging what already exists within yourself. You are awakening to your true identity as a child of the infinite, heir to all that is. This is why the practice of gratitude is so transformative. It doesn't just change your external circumstances. It changes your consciousness. And a change in consciousness is a change in reality. When your consciousness is saturated with gratitude for abundance, you begin to see opportunities where others see obstacles. You begin to attract people who can help you. You begin to make decisions from a place of abundance rather than scarcity. Now, some of you might be thinking, Neville, this sounds too simple, too good to be true, but let me share with you the scientific foundation for what I'm teaching. Your brain cannot distinguish between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. When you feel grateful for wealth with sufficient intensity and repetition, your brain begins to create new neural pathways. These pathways influence your behavior, your decisions, your very perception of reality. Moreover, Gratitude literally changes your brain chemistry. It increases dopamine and serotonin, the neurotransmitters associated with happiness and well-being. When you feel good, you make better decisions. When you make better decisions, you create better results. Let me share another story with you. A woman came to me who was deeply in debt, working 3 jobs just to survive. I taught her the gratitude practices I'm sharing with you tonight. She began each day feeling grateful for financial freedom, even though her circumstances showed the opposite. After 3 months of consistent practice, she met a man at a coffee shop who offered her a position in his company. The salary was 3 times what she was making at her 3 jobs combined. Was this coincidence? I think not. Consciousness creates circumstances, and a consciousness filled with gratitude for abundance will inevitably attract abundant circumstances. Once a month, dedicate an entire day to what I call wealth gratitude intensive. From morning until night, maintain a continuous state of gratitude for your wealth. Speak as a wealthy person would speak. Walk as a wealthy person would walk. Make decisions as a wealthy person would make decisions. This intensive practice accelerates your transformation by saturating your consciousness with the feeling of wealth. Remember, feeling is the secret. Not positive thinking, not affirmations, but feeling. Here's an advanced practice for those who are serious about transformation. Once a week, undertake a gratitude fast. For 1 day, refuse to acknowledge any lack or limitation. Every time your mind turns to what you don't have, immediately shift to gratitude for what you do have. This practice trains your mind to default to abundance rather than scarcity. It's like reprogramming your mental computer to run on an abundance operating system instead of a scarcity operating system. But here's the deeper teaching that most people miss. The wealth you're seeking is not in your bank account. It's in your consciousness. When you truly understand this, you realize that you don't need to wait for money to feel wealthy. You can feel wealthy right now, regardless of your circumstances. And when you feel wealthy, really feel it, not just think it. You become a magnet for wealth. You start to vibrate at the frequency of abundance, and the universe responds to your vibration. Modern quantum physics has confirmed what I've been teaching for decades. Consciousness is the fundamental reality. Matter is simply consciousness expressing itself in physical form. When you change your consciousness, you change your reality. Your gratitude for wealth that doesn't yet exist in physical form is not wishful thinking. It's quantum mechanics in action. You are collapsing the wave function of infinite possibilities into the specific reality of your abundant life. As you continue these practices, you'll notice something remarkable happening. You'll begin to feel wealthy even when your bank account doesn't reflect it. You'll make decisions from abundance rather than scarcity. You'll carry yourself differently. You'll speak differently. You'll think differently. And here's the beautiful paradox. The moment you no longer need wealth to feel wealthy, wealth begins to flow to you effortlessly, because you've aligned your consciousness with the consciousness of abundance. My friends, I want you to begin tonight. Before you sleep, spend 10 minutes feeling grateful for the wealth that is even now flowing into your life. Don't wait for proof. Don't wait for evidence. Begin with faith, and let your faith be rewarded with experience. Remember, the universe is not only queerer than we suppose, it is queerer than we can suppose. The principles I've shared with you tonight are not just theories. They are practical, proven methods for transforming your financial reality. Your wealth is not coming to you. It is flowing through you. You are not separate from abundance. You are abundance in human form. Your gratitude is not hope for the future. It is recognition of the present. Start tonight. Start now. Your wealthy life is waiting for your recognition. And when you truly recognize it, when you truly feel grateful for it, it will have no choice but to manifest in your experience. The kingdom of heaven, which is the kingdom of abundance, is within you. Claim it with gratitude, and watch as your outer world transforms to match your inner recognition. This is the promise. This is the truth. This is the way. Go forth and prosper, knowing that your prosperity is not just for you, but for all those whose lives you will touch with your abundance. Thank you, and may your gratitude be the bridge between your current reality and your wealthy destiny.
I want to talk to you about something that's been on my mind lately, something I've experienced myself, and I bet you have too. Have you ever noticed how you wake up each morning with the same thoughts cycling through your mind? The same worries, the same doubts, the same quiet resignation that whispers, "This is just how things are." I have. For years, I carried the weight of who I thought I needed to be. Not a physical weight, though sometimes it felt that way, but the invisible burden of an identity I had outgrown. This morning burden isn't random. It's your old self, still running the show. I remember a time when I'd wake up and before my eyes even opened, my mind would already be replaying yesterday's disappointments or anticipating today's potential failures. It was exhausting, like living the same day on repeat, hoping for different results. Einstein called that insanity, and he wasn't wrong. What I didn't understand then was that this wasn't just negative thinking. It was a biochemical addiction. My body had become accustomed to certain emotional states, worry, inadequacy, fear, and was unconsciously seeking those familiar signals each morning, like an old radio automatically tuning to its preset station. Let me ask you something personal. What emotions color your typical day? Is it anxiety that tightens your chest before your feet even hit the floor? Is it that familiar disappointment when things don't work out again? Or perhaps it's that subtle, constant feeling that you're just not quite enough. These emotions aren't just passing weather, they're your emotional home address, the place you keep returning to day after day. And here's the truth that changed everything for me. Your old self is not just a memory, it's a magnetic field. Everything you're experiencing right now is being attracted by the energy you're consistently broadcasting. Think about it. Your body doesn't know the difference between what's happening now and what you're vividly remembering or imagining. Your nervous system, your hormones, your entire biochemistry responds to the emotions you repeatedly feel. By age 35, nearly 95% of who you are has become automatic memorized behaviors, emotional reactions, and unconscious habits. Not because you chose them deliberately, but because you practiced them until they became your default. I once heard someone say, "Your personality creates your personal reality." I didn't fully grasp what that meant until I realized that my personality, the collection of thoughts, emotions, and behaviors I identified with, was literally shaping what I was experiencing in my life. I wasn't just thinking about limitations, I was embodying them. I wasn't just worrying about rejection, I was unconsciously creating situations where I'd feel rejected. This was my prison, and I had unknowingly built it myself, brick by emotional brick. The walls weren't physical, but they were just as confining, perhaps more so because I couldn't see them. I only felt their effect. The chronic dissatisfaction, the recurring patterns, the sense that something better was always just out of reach. What's fascinating is that science is now confirming what ancient wisdom traditions have taught for millennia. Your internal state creates your external reality. When you experience an emotion, your brain releases specific neurochemicals. Feel fear, and your body floods with cortisol and adrenaline. Feel love, and you're awash in oxytocin and dopamine. These chemicals aren't just fleeting sensations, they're instructions to your cells, telling them how to function, what genes to express, what reality to prepare for. Live in chronic stress, and your body physically reshapes itself to handle a threatening world. Live in gratitude and trust, and your body optimizes for growth, healing, and connection. I spent years trying to change my circumstances while maintaining the same internal chemistry. It was like trying to drive to a new destination while traveling on the same old road. No matter how fast I drove or how determined I was, I always ended up in familiar territory. What I didn't understand was that transformation isn't about trying harder within the same state of being. It's about shifting states entirely. Imagine yourself as a tuning fork, constantly vibrating at a specific frequency. The universe, or the quantum field, if you prefer, isn't responding to your wishes or your vision board. It's responding to your vibration. I remember when this hit me. I kept saying I wanted freedom, opportunity, and abundance, but I was vibrating fear, scarcity, and not enoughness. My words were saying one thing, but my energy was broadcasting something completely different. And guess which one the universe was listening to? Here's what I had to confront, and maybe you do too. You can't step into a new life while being energetically loyal to your past. This isn't about positive thinking or affirmations. Those are like trying to paint a crumbling wall. The paint might look nice for a moment, but the foundation is still compromised. There was a period in my life when I was religiously practicing affirmations. Every morning I'd look in the mirror and repeat, "I am abundant, I am worthy, I am successful." But throughout the day, I'd feel the exact opposite. My bank account was dwindling. My relationships were strained and my sense of worth was tied to external validation that rarely came. I was trying to override decades of programming with a few minutes of recited phrases. It was like trying to redirect a river with a teaspoon. What I eventually realized is that transformation requires more than surface changes. It demands a complete rewiring of your operating system, from your conscious thoughts down to your subconscious beliefs, from your mental patterns to your cellular memory. But here's where it gets interesting and where I found my first real breakthrough. In quantum physics, there's something called the observer effect. It means that the act of observing changes what's being observed. When you become conscious of a pattern in yourself, you're no longer completely identified with it. The first time I truly saw my old self, not judged it, just saw it clearly, something shifted. I wasn't just running on autopilot anymore. There was space between me and the pattern. I had become the observer, and that tiny space, that's where freedom begins. I remember the exact moment this happened for me. I was in the middle of an argument with someone I loved, feeling that familiar surge of defensiveness and the need to prove myself right. But suddenly there was this strange moment of clarity, like I had stepped outside myself and could see the pattern playing out. Oh, I thought, there's that old reaction again, the one where I feel threatened and need to win. Just that recognition, that moment of witnessing, changed everything. The pattern didn't immediately disappear, but it lost some of its power over me. I wasn't completely identified with it anymore. There was a me that could see beyond the pattern, that could choose differently. This is what meditation teachers mean when they talk about mindfulness, that capacity to witness your own processes without being swept away by them. It's not about forcing change through willpower. It's about creating enough inner space to allow change to happen naturally. One of the most liberating discoveries of my journey was understanding the difference between having emotions and being emotions. For most of my life, I didn't say, I feel angry. I said, I am angry. I didn't experience, I feel anxious. I became anxiety itself. This complete identification with emotional states meant I had no separation from them, no freedom to choose a different response. When you identify totally with an emotion or a pattern, you hand over your power. You become a passenger in your own life, driven by unconscious programming rather than conscious choice. Learning to create that space, to say, I notice I'm feeling anxious rather than I am anxious, was revolutionary. It meant that emotions could move through me without defining me. Patterns could arise without controlling me. This isn't about suppressing feelings or denying reality. It's about recognizing that you are the sky, not the weather. Emotions, thoughts, sensations, they all move through your awareness like clouds, sometimes stormy, sometimes light, but the awareness itself, that's the real you. And it remains unchanged, spacious, and free regardless of what's passing through. I spent years trying to change my external world without changing myself first. I was trying to access a reality that belonged to a version of me I hadn't become yet. Here's what I finally understood. You don't attract what you want, you attract who you are. The future you, the one living the life you desire, doesn't just think differently. They are different. They feel different. They respond to challenges differently. They make decisions from a completely different place. Your task isn't to chase that future self. It's to collapse the distance by becoming vibrationally compatible with them right now. This was perhaps the most profound turning point in my journey. Instead of asking, how do I get what I want, I began asking, who do I need to become to naturally attract what I want? The shift is subtle but revolutionary. It moves the focal point from external acquisition to internal transformation, from getting to being, from chasing to attracting. What if I told you that the future version of yourself, the one living the life you dream about, already exists? Not in some distant hypothetical future, but right now in this moment, as a vibration, a frequency you can tune into. Quantum physics suggests something remarkable. Reality isn't linear. Time isn't fixed. What we experience as our present is simply the reality we've collapsed from infinite possibilities based on our dominant frequency. This means the version of you who is thriving, fulfilled, and living your dream life exists now, just at a different frequency than the one you're currently tuned to. And the only thing separating you from that version of yourself is your vibration. I know this might sound abstract or even mystical, but the principles are grounded in the strange and beautiful realities of quantum science. In the quantum field, particles exist in a state of pure potential, what physicists call superposition, until they're observed. The act of observation causes the particle to choose a definite state from all possibilities. In a similar way, your consciousness is constantly collapsing specific realities from the field of infinite potential. And what determines which reality you collapse? Your vibrational state, the sum total of your beliefs, emotions, thoughts, and expectations. Think about it this way. Right now, there are infinite versions of you existing across what physicists call the multiverse. There's the you who's struggling financially, the you who's wildly abundant, the you who's deeply in love, the you who's perpetually lonely. All of these versions exist simultaneously as potential reality. The one you're experiencing right now is simply the one that matches your current vibrational signature. I used to think this was just an interesting metaphysical concept until I began to experience it firsthand. As I shifted my internal state, releasing old identities and embodying new ones, reality began to reorganize itself around me in ways I couldn't have engineered through external effort alone. Opportunities that aligned with my new frequency began to appear. People responded to me differently. Situations that had been stuck for years suddenly found resolution. It wasn't magic, it was mathematics. The law of resonance playing out with perfect precision. Coherence is a scientific term that describes a system whose parts are aligned and working in harmony. When your thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and actions are all in alignment, you achieve a state of personal coherence. And that's when the magic happens. I noticed that in my own life, whenever I experienced frustration or stagnation, there was always an incoherence somewhere in my system. I'd say I wanted financial abundance, but I'd feel guilty about charging for my services. I'd claim I wanted deep connection, but I'd keep people at arm's length out of fear of being hurt. These contradictions created a mixed signal, a fractured frequency that couldn't clearly attract anything. Learning to create coherence to align my conscious desires with my subconscious beliefs, my words with my feelings, my actions with my intentions, was like turning a crackling radio broadcast into a crystal clear signal. Suddenly, life could hear me. Reality could respond cleanly. This doesn't mean having no negative emotions or doubts. It means bringing awareness to the contradictions and lovingly working to resolve them. It means becoming a unified field rather than a conflicted one. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine walking into a room and seeing the version of you who already lives the life you desire. Notice how they carry themselves. The ease in their shoulders, the clarity in their eyes. They don't doubt their worth or question their path. They're not weighed down by past hurts or future fears. Now ask them, what did you let go of to become this free? Because, and this was a revelation for me, the new self isn't created by adding more. It's revealed by subtracting, by releasing the layers of conditioning, pain, and limiting beliefs until all that's left is your essence. You're not becoming something new. You're remembering who you've always been beneath the noise. I tried this exercise during a particularly dark period in my life. Everything seemed to be falling apart. My relationship had ended, a business venture had failed, my health was suffering. I felt completely lost. In my visualization, the future self I encountered wasn't what I expected. I thought I'd see some superhuman version of me, ultra confident, perfectly polished, with all the answers. Instead, I met someone who looked a lot like me, but with a profound sense of peace. The main difference wasn't in their achievements or possessions. It was in what they'd released. They'd let go of the need to control outcomes. They'd released the belief that worth is tied to achievement. They'd surrendered the pattern of self-judgment that had driven me for decades. What struck me most was how ordinary yet extraordinary this future self seemed. They weren't trying to be special. They were simply being authentic, and that authenticity was magnetic. Your identity, the collection of beliefs, memories, patterns, and stories that you call me, can be your greatest asset or your heaviest burden. Most people don't realize how much energy it takes to maintain an identity, especially one that's built on limitation or past pain. It's like carrying a heavy backpack everywhere you go. You're so used to the weight that you don't even notice it anymore until someone points out that you could put it down. I remember the strange mix of fear and excitement I felt when I first considered releasing parts of my identity. On one hand, these patterns were familiar. They made me feel safe in their predictability. They were home, even if home wasn't particularly comfortable. On the other hand, I sensed the incredible freedom that would come from putting down that weight, the energy that would be released, the possibilities that would open up. What I discovered is that you don't have to destroy your old identity. You don't have to reject or shame who you've been. You simply need to recognize that you are not your patterns. You are the awareness in which patterns arise, and that awareness can choose differently at any moment. So how do we make this shift? Not through information, but through embodiment. Not through thinking, but through becoming. I'm going to guide you through what I call a quantum identity reset. a process to release the old self and step into the new. Number 1, name your old self. You can't release what you don't recognize. What would you call the version of you that's been running on autopilot? The pleaser, the perfectionist, the invisible one. Give it a name that resonates. For me, it was the survivor, the part of me always braced for the next disaster, never fully trusting that life could be easy. Take a moment to reflect on the core beliefs that drive this identity. What does this version of you deeply believe about yourself, others, and the world? What emotions does it most frequently experience? What situations or triggers activate it most strongly? Understanding these patterns isn't about judgment. It's about clarity. The more clearly you can see the contours of your old self, the less power it has over you. Number 2, honor and release. This part is crucial. Your old self isn't your enemy. It was trying to protect you. It helped you survive when survival was the goal. Thank it for its service. Then visualize yourself gently setting down that heavy backpack of outdated patterns and beliefs. You don't need to destroy it. Just put it down and walk away. I remember the profound sense of lightness the first time I did this. Like I could finally stand tall after years of carrying an invisible weight. This honoring is essential because resistance creates persistence. If you try to reject or fight your old self, you actually energize it. What you resist persists. What you embrace can be released. So speak to this identity with compassion. Recognize that it formed for a reason, to help you navigate challenges, to protect you from perceived threats, to make sense of confusing experiences. It did the best it could with the awareness available at the time, but now you have greater awareness. You can see beyond those old strategies. You can choose differently. Number 3, embody your new self. Now step into the energy of who you're becoming. How does this version of you stand? Breathe, speak, make decisions. For me, my new self had a quiet confidence I'd rarely felt before. His shoulders were relaxed. His breath was deep. His voice was clear. He didn't need approval or permission. This embodiment isn't pretending or fake it till you make it. It's recognizing that the future self already exists within you as potential, and you're simply aligning with that potential in the present moment. I found it helpful to identify specific situations where my old self would typically take over. A challenging conversation, a financial decision, a social gathering, and imagine how my new self would navigate these scenarios. Not from fear or habit, but from centered presence and trust. The body is the subconscious mind made visible. By changing your physiology, how you stand, breathe, move, speak, you send powerful signals to your nervous system that a shift is occurring. This isn't superficial, it's neurobiological. Number 4, declare your new reality. Words have power, especially when they're charged with embodied emotion. Speak this declaration aloud. I no longer collapse the past. I tune into who I truly am. Say it again, not as empty words, but as a vibrational statement. I no longer collapse the past. I tune into who I truly am. Let those words resonate in every cell of your body. Feel them changing your frequency. Declarations work because language isn't just descriptive, it's creative. Your words don't just describe reality, they help shape it. This is particularly true when those words are accompanied by genuine emotion and conviction. When I first started working with declarations, I made the mistake of reciting them mechanically, without feeling. It was like reading a grocery list. Unsurprisingly, nothing changed. The breakthrough came when I began to feel the declaration as already true. I didn't say I will be confident while feeling insecure. I found the seed of confidence already present in me, amplified it, and declared from that place, I am confident. The declaration then becomes both an affirmation of what's already emerging and a catalyst for further embodiment. Number 5, daily practice. This isn't a one-time event, it's a practice. Each morning, before checking your phone or starting your day, ask yourself, which version of me will collapse reality today? Then choose consciously, lovingly, powerfully. Consistency is key here. Neural pathways strengthen with repetition. New identities form through consistent reinforcement. The question isn't whether transformation is possible. It absolutely is, thanks to neuroplasticity, but whether you're willing to practice the new state of being with enough consistency to create lasting change. I found that creating specific anchors in my day was helpful, moments when I would consciously check in and realign with my new self. These might be transitions, like moving from home to work, or sensory cues, like the sound of a bell or the feeling of water on my skin during a shower. Each of these moments became an opportunity to ask, am I operating from my old self or my new self right now? And if it's the old self, can I shift? Over time, these conscious choices become more natural. What once required deliberate effort eventually becomes your new baseline. As you practice this reset, you'll likely encounter resistance. This is normal. In fact, it's a sign that real change is occurring. The old self doesn't relinquish control easily. It's been in charge for years, perhaps decades. When you begin to shift into a new identity, the old self often fights back with familiar weapons: doubt, fear, criticism, procrastination. You might hear internal voices saying things like, "This won't work. Who do you think you are? This is selfish. What if you fail? It's safer to stay as you are." Recognize these voices for what they are: the death throes of an outdated identity. They're not truth. They're resistance. I found that the most effective response to resistance isn't to fight it, which only creates more resistance, but to witness it with compassion. Ah, there's that old fear again. I see you. I understand why you're here, but I'm choosing differently now. This witnessing diffuses the power of resistance without energizing it through struggle. When I first embraced this practice, the shifts were subtle at first. An unexpected opportunity, a conversation that opened doors I didn't know existed, a sudden clarity about decisions that had confused me for months. But over time, as I consistently chose to vibrate at the frequency of my future self, reality began to rearrange itself around me. Not because I was forcing it, but because I was in resonance with a different timeline. And here's what I've learned. When you change your vibration, your life cannot stay the same. It's not magic, it's mathematics. It's the law of resonance playing out in your daily experience. One of the most striking examples in my own life came after months of practicing this reset. I had been struggling financially for years, constantly worried about money and caught in a scarcity mindset. As I shifted into a state of abundance, not by pretending I had more money, but by genuinely feeling grateful for what I had and confident in my ability to create value, opportunities began to appear that had been invisible to me before. A project I'd been trying to launch for months suddenly gained traction. People began approaching me with collaborations that aligned perfectly with my strengths. Resources that I needed seemed to appear at exactly the right moment. None of this happened because I was manifesting in the conventional sense. It happened because I had shifted my frequency to one that was compatible with these experiences. I had become the person who could recognize and receive these opportunities rather than unconsciously repelling them through fear and doubt. As you align with your new self, you'll likely begin to notice an increase in synchronicities, meaningful coincidences that feel guided or orchestrated. Someone mentions a book, and the next day it falls off a shelf in front of you. You think of a solution to a problem, and hours later, a friend calls with exactly the resources you need. You feel drawn to a particular location only to have a life-changing encounter there. These aren't random coincidences. They're signs that you're in the flow, aligned with a coherent field of possibilities that matches your new frequency. I used to dismiss synchronicities as mere confirmation bias, the tendency to notice things that confirm what we already believe. But as they became more frequent and undeniable in my own life, I began to see them differently. As feedback from the field, cosmic winks letting me know I was on track. These moments of grace aren't rewards for good behavior. They're natural outgrowths of alignment. When you're vibrating coherently, life responds coherently. When you're fragmented within, reality appears fragmented without. Your shift doesn't just change your personal reality. It sends ripples through the collective field. As you release your old patterns and step into your authentic power, you create permission for others to do the same. We're not separate beings having isolated experiences. We're interconnected nodes in a vast conscious field. Your liberation contributes to the liberation of all. I noticed this in my own circles. As I began to embody more authenticity and sovereignty, the people around me started changing too. Some moved away, no longer resonant with my new frequency. Others drew closer, inspired by the transformation they witnessed, and many began their own parallel journeys of awakening. Not because I was actively trying to change them, but because transformation is contagious. This ripple effect gives deeper meaning to personal growth. It's not just about improving your individual experience. It's about contributing to the evolution of consciousness itself. Your shift creates a crack in the collective matrix, allowing light to enter not just your reality, but the shared reality we all inhabit. At its core, this journey requires courage. The courage to let go of the familiar even when it's uncomfortable. The courage to step into the unknown. The courage to be who you truly are in a world that may not yet recognize or validate that truth. I've come to believe that this might be the most fundamental choice we face in life. Will we continue to be who we think we should be, governed by conditioning and fear? Or will we have the courage to be who we truly are, aligned with our soul's deepest knowing? The old self was built on adaptation, becoming whoever you needed to be to survive, to be accepted. The new self emerges from authenticity, the willingness to be real, raw, true, even when it's uncomfortable or inconvenient. This authenticity isn't self-indulgence, it's sovereignty. It's the recognition that you are the authority on your own experience. You are the author of your story. You are the creator of your reality. So I ask you now, are you ready to release the version of you that no longer matches your future? Are you willing to let go of the identity that was built for survival so you can step into one that's designed for thriving? If something inside you is resonating with these words, if you can feel a quickening, a recognition, a yes, then it's time. Time to put down the heavy backpack. Time to tune into a new frequency. Time to collapse a new reality. The old you has served its purpose. The new you is already waiting, ready to emerge. The question is, are you ready? To make the universe work for you, you first need to understand one key concept. The universe responds to your inner state. It is constantly mirroring back your dominant thoughts, beliefs, and feelings. What you send out is what comes back. This is the essence of manifestation. The universe speaks in the language of vibration. Every thought, every emotion, every intention you hold carries a frequency. And like a cosmic magnet, your frequency attracts experiences, people, and opportunities that match it. This is why understanding your inner world is crucial to making the universe work in your favor. The mind is an incredibly powerful tool. What many people don't realize is that your imagination is the gateway to shaping reality. Everything you experience first starts as a thought. The mind creates the blueprint for your future. When you imagine something clearly and vividly, your mind and body begin to act as if it's already real. This is because the subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between a real event and an imagined one. This is why visualization is so effective in manifesting your desires. If you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hands. One of the most profound ways to shape your reality is through a simple but powerful principle. Assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Rather than waiting for something external to validate your desires, assume that it's already done. Act, think, and feel as if the outcome you desire is already yours. When you assume the state of your wish fulfilled, you shift your energy and vibration to match that outcome. And as you know, the universe responds to your energy. By assuming the feeling, you place yourself in alignment with the reality where that desire has already manifested. Beneath your conscious awareness lies the subconscious mind, the silent partner in shaping your destiny. It's the seat of your beliefs, habits, and emotions. It is always active, always listening to your dominant thoughts, and always working to manifest them into your reality. But here's the key. The subconscious mind responds to repetition, feeling, and belief. This is why it's essential to fill your mind with positive thoughts and affirmations that align with the life you wish to create. The universe responds not just to thoughts, but to emotions. Emotions are powerful because they amplify the energy behind your intentions. When you feel joy, gratitude, and love, you are in perfect alignment with the flow of the universe. These emotions signal to the universe that you are ready to receive. On the other hand, feelings of fear, doubt, and lack create resistance. This resistance blocks the flow of abundance and opportunities that are waiting to come into your life. The solution is simple but profound. Cultivate positive emotions daily. You can daily exercise your gratitude. Take 5 minutes to feel gratitude for everything you currently have in your life. Once you've planted the seeds of your desires through visualization, intention, and emotional alignment, there is one more crucial step. Letting go. Trust the process. Trust that the universe is working behind the scenes to bring your desires to you at the perfect time. Letting go doesn't mean giving up on your dreams. It means releasing attachment to how and when they will manifest. The more you trust, the faster you allow the universe to move in your favor. Remember, The universe works in ways that often surpass our understanding. Surrendering opens the door for miracles. While visualization and belief are key to manifesting, it's important to pair them with action. But not just any action, inspired action. This is action that feels right, feels aligned, and comes from a place of trust and flow. The universe will guide you through intuition, subtle nudges, and synchronicities. When you take action from a place of confidence and belief in your desires, you accelerate their manifestation. Trust your inner guidance and move forward without fear. The universe rewards those who act with faith. It is a vast, intelligent force that is always responding to you. You are the creator of your reality. By aligning your thoughts, emotions, and actions with your desires, you make the universe work for you. So as you move forward, remember, the universe is on your side. It is waiting to bring your dreams to life. All you have to do is believe. Align and take inspired action. Your destiny is in your hands. The universe is constantly responding to you in ways you might not always perceive at first glance. It operates on a principle of vibration and resonance. Your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs emit frequencies that the universe mirrors back to you through circumstances and experiences. When you consciously align your energy with what you desire, the universe begins to orchestrate events, opportunities, and synchronicities that bring your desires closer to manifestation. Just like a radio tuning into a specific station, when you fine-tune your inner world, you tune into the reality you want to experience. Your thoughts are a powerful form of communication with the universe. Every idea, no matter how fleeting, carries an energy that the universe picks up on. If your thoughts are consistently focused on abundance, happiness, or success, the universe responds by bringing people and situations into your life that reflect those states. However, the same is true for thoughts of doubt, lack, or fear. The key to making the universe answer favorably is to cultivate an inner environment filled with positive, empowering thoughts. In doing so, you send out a clear signal of what you want to attract. Beyond thoughts, your emotions play an equally significant role in how the universe responds. Emotions amplify the energy of your thoughts, acting like a magnet that pulls similar experiences toward you. If you feel gratitude, joy, or love, you are in harmony with the natural flow of the universe, which allows your desires to manifest with greater ease. Conversely, feelings of worry, frustration, or disappointment create resistance, making it harder for the universe to deliver what you want. Therefore, it's important to not only think about what you want, but to feel as if you already have it, signaling your readiness to receive. Belief is another essential component in this cosmic dialogue. What you believe to be true about yourself and the world forms the foundation of what the universe will deliver to you. If you believe that you are worthy of success, abundance, and happiness, the universe will reflect that belief back to you in the form of corresponding experiences. However, if deep down you hold limiting beliefs about scarcity or unworthiness, the universe will mirror those too. By cultivating empowering beliefs and releasing limiting ones, you open the door for the universe to answer your deepest desires. One of the most profound ways the universe answers is through synchronicities. Those meaningful coincidences that seem too perfect to be random. When you align your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs with your desires, the universe arranges a series of events that guide you toward your goal. You might meet the right person at the perfect moment, or a seemingly random opportunity could present itself just when you need it most. These moments are the universe's way of showing you that it's listening and working in tandem with your intentions. Patience and trust are also vital in this process. While the universe is always answering, it operates on its own timing, which may not always align with your expectations. Sometimes what seems like a delay is the universe arranging circumstances behind the scenes to ensure the best possible outcome for you. Trust that when you've set your intentions and aligned yourself with what you desire, the universe will respond in the perfect way and at the perfect time. Your role is to maintain faith, keep your vibration high, and remain open to receiving. Ultimately, the universe is like a loyal partner, always ready to respond to your energy thoughts, and emotions. The more aligned and intentional you are in what you send out, the more clearly and powerfully the universe will answer. By understanding this dynamic, you can actively co-create your reality, transforming your life into one that reflects your highest potential and deepest desires. All you have to do is believe, align, and trust in the process. The universe is always listening. And that's it for the day. Thank you for watching. Please feel free to share your thoughts and insights in the comment section. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done it already. Have an amazing day, and I'll see you in the next video.
Good evening, my dear friends. Tonight I'm going to teach you something that will completely transform how you approach manifestation. Most people treat their desires like destinations on a map. They see themselves here, and their wish fulfilled over there, and they spend all their energy trying to close that gap. But I'm going to show you tonight that there is no gap to close. There is no distance to travel. There is no journey to make. There is only an assumption to occupy, and once you occupy it, you must walk in it. Not visit it for 20 minutes during meditation. Not think about it occasionally throughout your day. Walk in it, live in it, move through your entire life from within that assumption. This continuous occupation of your desired state is what separates those who manifest from those who struggle. They walk in the assumption. They don't just visit it. When you walk somewhere, you don't stand still and think about walking. You don't visualize your legs moving. You don't affirm, I am walking. You just walk. You inhabit the action completely. It's natural, automatic, something you do without conscious effort or constant self-monitoring. You don't wake up each morning convincing yourself you can walk. You simply walk when you need to walk, and you don't question it. This is how you must relate to your assumption. When I say walk in the assumption, I mean inhabit it so completely, so naturally, so automatically, that you stop thinking about whether you're doing it right. You're not trying to walk in it. You're not practicing walking in it. You're just walking in it, naturally, effortlessly, as your new normal. Here's where most people fail. They create an assumption, let's say wealth. They might even feel wealthy during meditation. But then they finish their practice and immediately return to walking in poverty consciousness. They check their bank account with anxiety. They make decisions from scarcity. They worry about bills. They think thoughts of lack all day long. And then at night they meditate on wealth for 20 minutes. They're visiting the assumption of wealth. But they're walking in the assumption of poverty. And it's the assumption you walk in, the one you inhabit all day long, the one that shapes your thoughts, feelings, decisions, and actions, that creates your reality, not the one you visit during spiritual practice. You can't walk in poverty for 23 hours and walk in wealth for 1 hour and expect to manifest wealth, because consciousness creates reality based on where you actually live, not where you occasionally visit. You must walk in your desired assumption all day, every day, until it becomes your natural state. Let me give you specific examples. If you're walking in the assumption of wealth, when you wake up, your first thoughts aren't about money problems. You think from abundance. When you check your bank account, you don't do it with anxiety. You look calmly, knowing the number is temporary. When you make purchases, you decide from a mentality of having plenty, even if the account doesn't reflect it yet. When bills arrive, you handle them practically while maintaining that money flows to you easily. When opportunities appear, you accept them naturally, expecting good things. You walk through your entire day thinking, feeling, deciding, and acting from the consciousness of wealth. If you're walking in the assumption of being loved, you don't wake up feeling lonely. You feel cherished from the moment you open your eyes. You don't analyze interactions, looking for proof. You move through the world knowing you're valued. You don't tolerate disrespect. You naturally expect to be treated well. You don't seek validation. You're already validated by the love you know you have. You walk through your day from the consciousness of being deeply, completely loved. Do you see the difference between this and just thinking about being loved for a few minutes before bed? Walking in the assumption means it becomes your operating system, not an app you open occasionally. Here's what most people don't understand. Walking in the assumption is a decision, not a feeling you wait for. You don't wait until you feel wealthy to walk in the assumption of wealth. You decide to walk in it, and the feeling follows. The assumption comes first. The feeling comes second. The manifestation comes third. Most people reverse this. They think, when I feel wealthy, I'll walk in wealth consciousness. But you'll never feel it if you're not walking in it. Feelings follow assumptions, not the other way around. So you make a decision, today I walk in the assumption of wealth. Regardless of what my bank account shows, regardless of how I currently feel, regardless of what circumstances suggest, I walk in wealth. And then you do it. You make every thought, every feeling, every decision, every action come from that place. You walk in the assumption by choosing it, moment by moment, until it becomes automatic. At first, walking in a new assumption will feel unnatural. You'll wobble, you'll forget, you'll slip back, you'll wake up worrying about money. Then remember, wait, I'm walking in wealth now. You'll catch yourself making a decision from scarcity. Then correct. No, that's not where I walk anymore. This is normal. This is how you learn to walk in a new assumption. At first, it requires conscious effort. You have to remind yourself constantly. You have to correct yourself frequently. But if you persist, if you keep choosing the assumption, keep redirecting to it, keep walking in it despite the wobbles, it becomes easier, more natural, more automatic. Eventually, you stop thinking about it. You just naturally think, feel, and act from that assumption because you've walked in it so consistently that it's become who you are. So how to walk throughout your day? Morning. The moment you wake up, before checking the news or thinking about problems, occupy your assumption. If you're assuming wealth, feel financially secure. Let that be your first conscious experience of the day. Spend the first few minutes walking in your assumption before the world can pull you into your old state. Throughout the day, do this. Every moment is a choice. Every thought is an opportunity to walk in your desired state. Set reminders if needed. Every hour, am I walking in my assumption right now, or have I slipped back? When you notice you've slipped, don't judge yourself. Just return. Choose again. Walk in the assumption again. In the evening. Before bed, review your day, not based on external events, but on how well you maintained your assumption. Did you walk in wealth today or in poverty? Then, as you drift to sleep, return to your assumption one more time. Feel it. Let it be the last state you occupy before sleep. You're training yourself to walk in this assumption so consistently that it becomes your permanent state. When you truly walk in an assumption, your thoughts automatically align with it. Your feelings naturally match it. Your decisions reflect it. Your actions express it. When you walk in an assumption, your entire being organizes itself around that assumption. And when your entire being reflects your assumption, the three-dimensional world must reorganize itself to match. The external world always shows you the assumption you're walking in. If you don't like what you see, don't try to change the external world directly. Change the assumption you're walking in. Start walking in wealth instead of poverty. Start walking in love instead of loneliness. Start walking in success instead of struggle. And watch as the external world shifts to reflect your new state. Here's the most challenging part. You must walk in your assumption even when the external evidence contradicts it. You start walking in wealth, and then the bill arrives. The bank account stays the same. Your mind screams, see, this isn't working. Look at the evidence. But the external evidence is always showing you your past assumption, not your current one. What you see in the three-dimensional world is the materialization of the assumption you were walking in days, weeks, or months ago. During the interval between assumption and manifestation, you must continue walking in the new assumption despite the old evidence. You acknowledge reality practically, you pay the bill, you handle the situation. But internally, you remain walking in your new state. This is old information. This is the past made visible. But I'm walking in a new assumption now, and this new assumption is creating a new reality, and you keep walking in it. Understand this clearly. You don't wait for proof before you walk in the assumption. You walk in the assumption, and then the proof appears. Most people think, show me the money, and then I'll walk in wealth consciousness. But consciousness doesn't work that way. You must walk in wealth consciousness first. Occupy that state. Live from it. Make it your natural way of being. And then after you've walked in it consistently, faithfully, persistently, the external money must appear. The proof doesn't create the state. The state creates the proof. First the assumption, then the walking, then the manifestation. This is always the order. Always. Tonight, make a decision. Choose one assumption. Just one. The most important one to you right now. Wealth, love, health, success. Whatever matters most. And decide starting tomorrow morning, I walk in this assumption. Not I'll try. Not I'll walk in it when I feel like it. I walk in it, period. Tomorrow morning, before anything else, occupy that assumption. Feel it. Experience it. Throughout your day, keep choosing it. Keep returning to it. Keep walking in it. When you wobble, return. When you forget, remember. When you slip, choose again. Walk in that assumption for 7 days straight. Not perfectly, but persistently. And at the end of 7 days, notice what's different. Because when you truly walk in an assumption, when you make it your lived experience rather than your occasional practice, everything changes. If you walk in your assumption faithfully, consistently, persistently, if you make it your natural state rather than a state you visit, it must manifest. Consciousness creates reality. The assumption you walk in is your consciousness made visible. Walk in poverty, create poverty. Walk in wealth, create wealth. The choice is yours, but once you choose it, you must walk in it. Choose your assumption. Occupy it. Live from it. Think from it. Feel from it. Act from it. Walk in it. And watch as your entire world transforms to match the state you've chosen to inhabit. Thank you for being here tonight. Remember, you're not trying to get somewhere. You're already there in assumption. Now walk in it. This is Best of Lectures. I will see you in the next video. Good evening, my friends. Tonight I want to share with you something that most teachers of this law will never tell you. Not because they wish to withhold it from you, but because they themselves have not discovered it. It is a technique so simple, so profound, so radically different from everything you have been taught, that when you truly grasp it, you will never approach manifestation the same way again. You see, for years, I have taught you about living in the end. I have told you to assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, to sleep in the state of your desire realized. And this is true. This is the foundation. This works. But tonight I want to reveal to you something that goes even deeper. Something that penetrates consciousness in a way that future imagining cannot. I call it the technique of the thankful past. Let me show you what most of you are doing wrong. Even when you think you are doing everything right. When you desire something, where do you place it in your mind? You project it into the future. When I have money, I will be happy. When I meet my love, I will be fulfilled. When my business succeeds, I will be grateful. When my body heals, I will be at peace. You see what you are doing? You see the trap you have fallen into? You are perpetually pushing your desire away from you. You are placing it in a time that never comes. Tomorrow never arrives, my friends. Tomorrow is always one day away. There is only ever now, only this eternal present moment. And yet you keep throwing your desires into an imaginary future. And then you wonder why they never manifest. They never manifest because you have placed them in a dimension that does not exist. The future is not real. It is a concept, a mental construct, a phantom. Only now is real. Only now has creative power. But here is what they do not want you to know. Here is the secret that will transform everything. Here is the key that unlocks a door most people do not even know exists. Your imagination responds most powerfully not to future desire, but to past fulfillment. Let me say that again, because this is the hinge upon which everything turns. Your subconscious mind, which is God in you, which is the creative power that produces your world, responds with magnificent, overwhelming, irresistible power when you remember your desire as something that has already happened. Think about this carefully. When you imagine something in the future, what is present in your consciousness, there is always a subtle tension. There is waiting. There is hoping. There is trying. There is the gap between here and there, between now and then, between who you are and who you will be. There is separation. There is time. There is distance. But when you remember something from the past, everything changes. When you recall a memory, there is a certainty, a completeness, a naturalness that requires no effort at all. There is no trying. There is no hoping. There is no waiting. It simply is. It is done. It is finished. It is behind you. Think about your most cherished memory right now. Perhaps a moment of joy from your childhood. Perhaps a triumph you experienced years ago. Perhaps a moment of love that is now gone but lives forever in your heart. When you recall it, do you have to try to believe it happened? Do you have to convince yourself it was real? Do you have to work to feel it? Of course not. It carries its own authority. It is simply done, complete, unquestionable. This is the secret, and it is so simple that the complicated mind dismisses it. This is what I want you to understand tonight. Imagine your desire not as something that will be, but as something that was. Let me take you deeper into why this works, into the mechanics of consciousness that make this technique so extraordinarily powerful. Your subconscious mind, which is the creator of your reality, does not think in future tense. It does not respond to I will be, or I am going to, or someday I shall. These are the languages of doubt, of separation, of powerlessness. These are the words of someone who does not have, who is waiting, who is hoping, but your subconscious responds instantly, completely, totally to I am, and even more powerfully to I was. Why? Because I am is present possession, and I was is completed action. Both are facts in consciousness. Both are declarations of what is, not what might be. When you say I will be wealthy, you are affirming that you are not wealthy now. When you say I am wealthy, you are claiming it in this moment. But when you say I became wealthy 3 months ago, you are doing something even more profound. You are placing your desire in the category of accomplished fact. You are remembering it. And memory is the most powerful form of imagination. Listen to me carefully. What is memory? Memory is imagination of the past. What is imagination? Imagination is memory of the future. They are the same faculty, the same power, operating in different directions in time. But here is the secret. The past feels more real than the future because it has the seal of completion upon it. Now let me give you the technique itself. The exact method you will use tonight and every night until your desire hardens into fact. Suppose you desire wealth. Most of you would imagine yourselves in the future, surrounded by abundance, and you would try to feel wealthy. And yes, this can work. I have taught this for years, and it works. But how much more powerful would it be to sit quietly tonight, close your eyes, and construct a memory, a false memory, if you will, of the day you became wealthy. Not tomorrow, not next week, not in some vague future, but that day in the past when it happened, the day that has already passed, the day you can remember. Imagine yourself 3 months ago, or 1 month ago, or even just 2 weeks ago. Whatever feels most natural to you, see yourself opening that letter, receiving that phone call, signing those documents, having that conversation, experiencing that moment when everything changed. Feel the relief, the joy, the gratitude, the shock, the excitement you felt on that day. Not tomorrow, that day that has already passed. That day that is now behind you, that day you can remember. Create the memory so vividly, so completely, so real that it feels as though it actually occurred. See the room you were in. Feel the temperature, hear the sounds. Notice what you were wearing. Who else was there? What time of day was it? Make it specific. Make it detailed. Make it real. Tell yourself and feel the truth of these words as you say them. I remember when it happened. I remember how surprised I was. I remember the moment I realized everything had changed. I remember calling my friend to share the news. I remember that feeling of relief, That sense of knowing I would never have to worry about this again. Do you see the difference now? Do you feel how different this is? You are not hoping it will happen. You are not even believing it is happening now. You are remembering that it happened. And memory carries a conviction that imagination of the future can rarely achieve. Now let me explain why this technique is so extraordinarily effective. Why it penetrates consciousness in a way that nothing else quite does. When you create a memory of your wish fulfilled, when you remember backwards from the present moment to that imaginary point in the past, when your desire was realized, you do something magical, something mystical, something that changes the very structure of your consciousness. You collapse time itself. You see, when you imagine something in the future, you are placing it at a distance. There is space between you and it. There is time between you and it. You are here, it is there. And as long as there is distance, there is separation. And as long as there is separation, there is effort. And effort implies lack. But when you remember something, when you place it in the past, there is no distance. It is not separated from you by time. It is behind you. It is done. It is finished. You are standing in the present as one who has already received, one who has already experienced, one who has already been transformed by this event. Can you feel the difference? When your desire is in the future, you are waiting for it to arrive. But when your desire is in the past, it has already arrived. You are no longer waiting. You are no longer hoping. You are no longer striving. You are resting. You are grateful. You are complete. The universe, you see, and this may shock you, does not distinguish between a memory that occurred in what you call objective reality and a memory you have constructed in imagination. To your subconscious mind, to God in you, they are equally real. Both are imagined. Both are consciousness. Both are creative. Let me say something that may sound radical, but is absolutely true. Every reality you have ever experienced began as imagination. There is no difference, none whatsoever, between what you call real memories and imagined ones, except the order in which they occurred. What you imagine first becomes what you remember later. Think about that. Every memory you have of yesterday was once imagination. Before yesterday happened, it was imagination. Then it became experience. Then it became memory. But it was always imagination first. So why not reverse it? Why not remember first, and let the objective reality catch up with your memory? Why not imagine backwards instead of forwards? This is not deception, my friends. This is not fantasy or denial of reality. This is creation. This is how God creates. This is how you as God create. By imagining and declaring it is finished. Not it will be finished. Not it is being finished, but it is finished. Done, complete, already accomplished. Now let me give you the exact, specific, practical technique that you will use starting tonight. Before you sleep, choose your desire. It can be anything: wealth, love, health, success, reconciliation, healing, opportunity, anything at all. But choose one thing and be specific. Know exactly what you want. Now, instead of imagining it in the future, I want you to construct a scene that implies it has already happened. But here is the key. Place this scene in your recent past. Imagine yourself 1 week ago, or 1 month ago, or 3 months ago, whatever feels natural to you, whatever your mind can accept most easily, and see yourself in a moment that implies your wish has already been fulfilled. Perhaps you are talking to a friend on the phone and saying, "I am so grateful it worked out. I can hardly believe how perfectly it all came together. I was so worried, but now I see there was never anything to worry about." Or perhaps you are looking at your bank statement from last month and smiling at the balance, thinking, "I remember when I used to check this with fear. Now I check it with joy." Or perhaps you are lying in bed beside your beloved thinking, "I remember when I used to sleep alone. I remember how much I longed for this. That feels like another lifetime now." Or perhaps you are looking in the mirror, seeing your healthy body, thinking, "I remember the day I got the test results. I remember calling my mother to tell her. I remember how I cried with relief." Create this memory with all your senses. Make it detailed, vivid, real. See the scene. Hear the sounds. Feel the emotions. Smell the air. Taste the moment. Engage every sense. And here is the crucial part, the element that makes this technique transcend all others. Feel the relief of it being behind you. Feel the gratitude that it has already occurred. Feel the freedom of no longer needing to wait or hope or try because it is done, finished, complete. It is history. It is your past. This feeling, this sensation of relief, of completion, of grateful remembrance, this is what impresses your subconscious most deeply. This is what tells your creative power. This is real. This has happened. This is done. Now, I want to give you one more key. One more element that will make this technique even more powerful, even more penetrating, even more effective. Gratitude. But not the gratitude you think. Not the gratitude of someone who is hoping for something. Not the gratitude you practice to attract something. Not future gratitude. Past gratitude. When you remember your desire as already fulfilled, let gratitude fill your heart. But feel the specific quality of this gratitude. It is the gratitude of someone who has received. The gratitude of someone for whom the struggle is over. The gratitude of looking back at a problem that is now solved. A need that is now met, a desire that is now fulfilled. Say to yourself, and mean it, feel it. I am so grateful that happened when it did. The timing was perfect. I am so glad I do not have to worry about that anymore. I am so thankful it worked out exactly as it did. Do you hear the past tense in those words? Do you feel the completion? This is not I will be grateful when. This is not I am grateful in advance for. This is I am grateful that it happened. Past complete. Done. Gratitude in the past tense is one of the most powerful vibrations you can emit. It tells your subconscious mind with absolute clarity. This is done. This is complete. I have received. The matter is settled. And your faithful subconscious, which only knows to say yes to your assumptions, which only knows to create what you believe, will work day and night in ways you cannot imagine to make your outer world match your inner conviction. It will orchestrate circumstances. It will arrange events. It will bring people into your life. It will open doors you did not know existed. It will create opportunities that seem to come from nowhere. All to prove right what you have assumed. All to make objective what you have imagined. My friends, I want you to understand something at the deepest level. You are not manipulating some external force. You are not trying to convince a deity somewhere in the sky to grant you a favor. You are not begging. You are not bargaining. You are not trying to be good enough or worthy enough. You are God imagining. And God does not imagine in the future. God imagines, and it is. When God said, "Let there be light," did he mean let there be light tomorrow? Did he mean let there be light next week? Did he mean I hope there will be light someday? No. Let there be light means light exists now because it has been imagined. It is immediate. It is present. It is done. This is how you must imagine. Not as a human, hoping God will answer, but as God, knowing that what you imagine is. And here is the secret within the secret. When you remember something, when you place it in the past, you are assuming it even more powerfully than when you imagine it in the present, because the past is completed. The past is done. The past cannot be changed, you think. But you are wrong. The past can be changed in imagination. And when you change the past in imagination, you change everything. So tonight I invite you to stop. Stop projecting your desires into an endless tomorrow. Stop waiting for some future moment when you will finally be happy, finally be fulfilled, finally be free, finally have what you want. Instead, remember it. Remember the day it happened, how it felt. Remember the relief, the joy, the gratitude, the peace. Remember that you no longer have to wait because it is already done. Remember that you no longer have to hope because you have already received. Remember that you no longer have to try because it has already happened. You are not manifesting from the future backward. You are manifesting from the past forward. And in doing so, you eliminate the one thing that destroys more manifestations than anything else in the world. The feeling of waiting, of separation, of time standing between you and your desire. There is no time. This is the great secret. There is only now. And in the now, you can remember anything you choose. The past is as fluid as the future. Both are imagination, both are consciousness, both are creative. So choose to remember your desire fulfilled. Choose to remember it as something that already happened. Choose to place it behind you rather than in front of you. Choose to be grateful for what has already occurred, rather than hopeful for what might occur. This is not a trick. This is not a technique in the ordinary sense. This is a shift in consciousness. This is a transformation in how you relate to time itself. This is stepping into the eternal now where all things already are. Go now and test this. Tonight before sleep, construct your memory. Make it vivid. Make it real. Make it detailed. Feel it. Return to it daily. Elaborate it. Live in it. And in a very short time, perhaps shorter than you imagine, perhaps shorter than seems possible, you will find that what you remembered in imagination has become what you remember in fact. The memory you created will have created the experience. The past you imagined will have become the past you lived. And you will stand in wonder knowing that you have discovered one of the deepest secrets of creation. This is the law. This is the promise. And it cannot fail. It has never failed. It will never fail, because it is not dependent on anything outside of you. It is dependent only on your imagination. And your imagination is God. And God cannot fail. Remember your wish fulfilled. Do this and all else will follow. Thank you and good evening. As always, thank you for joining me on this journey into the depths of consciousness. Remember, you are not here by accident. You are here because your soul is ready for this truth. Take these teachings and let them transform not just your mind, but your entire reality. Until we meet again in consciousness, keep assuming your greatness and living from the end of your desires. This is Best of Lectures, and I will see you in the next video.